and welcome to episode 10 of this podcast called Life. My name is Joanne, or JoJo, and I am your hostess with the mostest. And today we're going to talk about self-care, and a little surprise at the end of this podcast is an interview or conversation I had with two of my friends and fellow podcasters, Aimee and Dana Coston from Run, Eat, Drink podcast. So let's get into it. Self-care. The two words in itself, self and care, seem to be the buzzwords in the world, society, whatever you want to call it lately. I don't know about you, but what immediately comes to my mind with self-care is a good massage and, well, just a me day all to myself. Everyone has a different idea of what self-care is for them, but that's my idea. For much of society today, it seems that self-care is geared mainly towards women. Why? It's not the case because men need and deserve self-care just as much as women do. Self-care is a one-size-fits-all. Self-care is for everybody. There's this, stigma. Yeah, I guess that'll work. Stigma. There's this stigma about what self-care is, who it is for, and that's ridiculous. And I'm here to have a conversation with you to help break that little stigma. Self-care is actually doing something for your personal well-being. That includes your mental health, which is also your emotional, psychological health, and social well-being. Let's also add physical health under the personal well-being umbrella because, let's face it, if your physical health isn't at a good level, neither is the rest of your health because physical health actually affects the mental and the mental health affects the physical body. It's kind of a package deal, whether you realize and or accept it as the truth or not. They need to exist together in a good way or balance one another out. It's important for us to participate in different activities in life which help us enjoy life a little bit more. When you aren't enjoying life, which at times, let's face it, we all deal with that. That lack of enjoyment can affect and even cause mental and physical health issues. Some researchers have even discovered other common benefits of starting to implement some self-care into your life, or when you implement self-care in your life. When we take the time to, all right, I'm going to say it because I'm bad at this, slow down in life and then take the breaks that we need, the function of our brain improves. And who doesn't want improved brain function? That improvement in our brain function tends to lead to a higher level of productivity. Did you know that self-care also activates that part of our nervous system that allows our body to rest and relax? So when you practice or you have a regular routine of self-care, it ends up giving you an opportunity to learn more about yourself and the awareness of what your body limits actually are, and maybe even how to notice the signs of when it's time to recharge. So I'm going to give you an analogy. We're going to go over this. And I want you to take a minute and think of yourself as a battery. Yeah, I know. Yes, I said a battery. It doesn't matter if you're a phone battery, a AA, AAA, C battery, D battery, or even those old little circle watch batteries they used to have. No matter which type of battery you are, there is a shelf life or a wear out time. So let's think about this. Let's say that we are a phone battery, because that's something that most of us can relate to. There, right on the screen of your phone, it tells you what your strength level is or the battery life is at all times. So you know how much time you have left on your phone before the phone life is affected. So as a phone battery, you know how much juice you have left to do certain things and when it's time to plug in and recharge. You know how many games you can play before the battery life gets low and it starts screwing with your game. So you as a person, or us as people, have no clue whatsoever what our true battery life level is at any given time in life. So we tend to go overboard and overload without realizing it. And we begin to drain our own battery life to the point where it affects us emotionally, mentally, physically, and even socially. Yep, I said socially. I mean, think about it. How many times have you been invited somewhere? You said yes. And when they actually invited you, you said yes. But when the time comes down to meet them, you're just not feeling it. You don't feel like it. And you want to stay home and just veg or read a book or watch TV or just kind of do nothing. The same goes for when, let's just say, you RSVP to an event a month ago. But now that the event is here 1 month later, you don't want to go because you've had a hard day, a hard week, a hard month, and you can't even imagine expending that much effort to get ready and go to that event. Instead, you feel like you'd rather stay close to home or just do something low key. That right there is your body's way of telling you that your battery life is getting low and you need a recharge. Except the how of the recharge is what usually and is different for each person. Now, I can only speak for myself, of course, but I used to be the type of person who kept going, Energizer Bunny on crack, speaking of batteries. And I ignored the low battery signals and I kept going and going until the breaking point comes, and without me realizing it, it's too late. I start snapping at somebody for no reason. I get angry at the littlest things, or maybe I was just tired and I didn't in the morning and I didn't want to get out of bed. I'm pretty sure that once you start thinking about it yourself and in things in your life, that you will realize that you've done either the same things or something else that you now realize was you ignoring your own low battery light. I'm guilty. Raising my hand over here. I'm guilty. So we used to be a society that stopped to say hi to one another as you passed on the street, or stopped to have a few words when you met someone in the store or grocery store. Somewhere along the line, that changed. And we got, quote unquote, busy with life, whatever that means to you. And then we no longer made the time or make the time to stop and talk to people that we see, and instead walk away so they wouldn't see you, or rush down another aisle like you were in a hurry so they wouldn't stop you. Okay, that's me. I don't know if that's describing you, but that's describing me. I've done that. Maybe some of you can relate. I hope some of you can relate and I'm not alone. But the same goes for phone calls. There was a time when we used to take the time to call people and have an actual conversation, not a text, on the phone, even if it was a short one, just so your loved ones and friends knew you were thinking about them. Then the phone calls dwindled or went away, and, or I should say went away completely, and replaced with a text message. Then, because it was just easier. Then over time, we got so busy, again, quote unquote, so busy, that even the text messages stopped. Now, I'm going to share, I have a few friends like that. And you know what? When those messages stopped, it hurt. You know, you start doing the, what the heck? What did I do to tick them off? Why aren't they, calling back? Why aren't they reaching out anymore? I would be the one to reach out via a phone call or leave a message, or then moved on to text to check in and let them know, my way of letting them know anyway, that I still valued having them in my life. But you know what? They only seemed to respond after I made the initial effort. Their response or their reasoning for not calling or texting sooner was that they've been, air quotes here, busy. Well, you know what? Every single one of us is busy with something in our lives. But I seriously doubt any of us, me included, are too busy to shoot a text message to say hi or send a funny meme or video. I know I'm not. Now, I'm not perfect. I don't text as much as I should, but I still text and, funny memes, and that's my way of letting them know I'm still thinking about them. Have you done that? Have you stopped texting people? Have you stopped calling them? You might want to give them a call or send them a text just to say, hey, thinking about you. We're not that busy. So for my own mental wellness or self-care, I stopped making the effort to stay in touch with them. Have I heard from quite a few of them after I stopped the effort? Nope. And yep, it didn't kind of, it friggin' hurt. Especially since some of them we've been friends for so many years, decades even. But I decided that it was better for me in the long run to just keep moving forward in my life without them. And that's kind of sad, but you have to do what's going to make you happy and keep you healthy. Am I still sad that the friendships have fizzled after so many years and, like I said, decades? Heck yeah, I am. But you know what? I have to face it. That's life. And I have to worry about me and my life and focus on being the best version of me that I can be. So, expending energy and effort on people that don't appreciate it or don't show it or don't give back, well, sorry. As we used to say back in the day, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. So yeah, leaving friendships may possibly be a way to practice self-care for you. Limiting your interactions with certain people, even friends and family, may also be a way to practice self-care. Get away from the energy drainers or the air suckers, whatever you want to call them. As I get older, my goal is to, or at least I try to make it my goal, to remove as much unnecessary drama from my life as possible. And to be honest, that has meant walking away from negative people in general, but that also means and meant walking away from friendships and, even family members. I don't wish them ill. I pray for them. I wish them well, but I choose not to have, listen again, I choose not to have them in my life and let them affect my personal well-being. So, getting back to the fact that self-care is for everyone, let me say that again, just in case the people in the far back didn't hear me. Self-care or personal care is for everyone, everybody, or as we used to say in the Army, la-di-da-di, everybody. I don't care if you are a man, a woman, someone young, middle-aged, or a senior citizen, Black, Latino, white, Asian, Middle Eastern, European, sorry. Self-care is for you. Yes, you. Even you with a drink in your hand right now, or you, the one that's listening to this podcast episode as you're out walking or running or doing yard work for that matter. Your self-care is important and does matter. Now, speaking of men and women, as I mentioned earlier, self-care means different things to different people. Since I was curious about how men and women view self-care differently, I created a poll on Facebook to get it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. One post was for the women to get their take, and the next post was for the men to get their take. I queried 39 men and 50 women, and the title was, "What do you do for self-care?" Now, for both men and women, there were a few of the same answers, like reading, camping, fishing, massages, coffee, quiet time. As a non-coffee drinker, I find drinking coffee, a very interesting answer. But hey, like I said, every person is different with what self-care looks like, and there's no wrong answer. The other thing I found interesting is the men leaned more towards physical activities than the women did. And the women leaned more towards traditional definition of relaxing activities. So for the men, the stats came down to 61.5% of the answers leaning towards a physical activity like golfing and fishing and biking, hockey, camping, yard work, weightlifting, working out, or repairing machinery, cars, or tinkering. Only 23.9% of the men chose the traditional relaxing activities. That is 9 out of 39 men. That blew my mind. For the women, the stats came down to 66% of the answers leaning more toward relaxing activities like audiobooks, reading, baths, pedicure, manicure, love a good pedi, massage, I'm on board for the massage, meditation, I can't do, watching TV or movies, a girl's day or night out, or just plain alone time. Only 12% of the women who answered chose more physical activities like organizing, cleaning, running or walking, working out, fishing or camping. That 12% is 6 out of 50 women. So you see, everybody has a different idea of what self-care is. And you know what? That is perfectly fine and okay. The main thing is that you realize that you need self-care to keep yourself and your life balanced. So that's number one. Number two is you start noticing the signs of when you've gone too long without self-care and take the time to focus on what works for you, helps you relax, and just plain recharges your battery life. And number three, remember that you cannot continue to help others with their needs if you aren't at your best and meeting your own needs. We have to be able to perform at a high level or 100% battery life, if we are going to help others. If not, it's everybody else who loses. So I sat down with Aimee and Dana Coston, as I said, from Run, Eat, Drink podcast. And we were kind of jaw-jacking earlier, so the interview kind of picks up after we started or stopped talking about candy and chocolate. It was great. But here's the interview.
So the topic this week is self-care? That is what I'm to understand?
Yes. I kind of wanted to talk about, it's weird because I know you can see me and I talk with my hands.
It doesn't matter.
But I wanted to put it out there that self-care is for everybody. It's not just, because think about it. When I was going to say think about it, that when you talk about self-care, most people think it's more of the women. It's geared towards the women aspect of things. And you don't really think of guys and self-care, but it's something that it's for everybody. There's no one size fits all type of thing.
100%.
I think age also.
Well, yeah.
Well,
you realize it's more important when you get older.
You do.
And you don't think about it when you're young.
No. Well, there's an argument, too.
No, you do.
That the fatigue builds up over time. I think, and that over the years you start to go, you know what, I'm going to treat myself a little bit. I'm going to do more something for myself. I've earned it. And there is something to be said for there's a difference between society's outlook on it for men versus women. Men's mental health is an overlooked taboo sort of category.
Well, and I think men practice it. They just don't necessarily call it self-care.
talk about it.
Like you have some, they don't. All right, so I did the poll. You saw I did the little Facebook poll, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I asked, one post was for women, what you did for self-care.
Yes.
One was for men. And the difference between the men and the women, the men picked more physical things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tinkering on a car, cutting the lawn, where's my list? Working out, fishing, hockey, biking, the more physical. There's a couple of the non or less physical things, but it was more like expending energy in order to feel better type of thing.
Like a stress reliever.
Yeah.
Like an outlet.
And I think women tend to go more with the relaxing aspect of something it's just a difference of, I think, how the manner in which you recharge your battery. And it's different for, I think, men versus women a lot of times. What it takes for them to recharge.
Yeah.
Now let's just take you, Amy.
Yeah.
With this week, when your sister comes back.
Yes.
You're in survival mode right now.
Oh yeah.
I would say, you know what I mean? You're going through the motions, doing what you have to do.
I think when you're caring for anybody.
You're caring for somebody.
Yeah.
But afterwards, when your sister comes in, it's going to be a little bit of like a breath of fresh air in a way, because you have a little bit more, okay, I can breathe. What do I need to do for me now?
Yeah.
And even if it's like vacuuming or picking them after the dogs or whatever, you'll need to
clean. For some people, cleaning is very cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for me.
It's not for me. No.
If it wasn't so expensive, I'd pay somebody to clean every single week.
Exactly. You know those ads? I've seen those commercials lately and I can't remember what the website is.
But it's like $19.
Yeah. That's gotta be a hoax or a gimmick or something.
It's gotta be.
That's the entry level, and then they tack on, if you want this, it's extra, it's extra, it's extra.
Or the first one is that amount, and then after that,
they get you.
Yeah.
In which
I've thought about that too.
Or if it's not, and they would like to get a sponsorship on a podcast, they should reach out.
They should reach out to us.
Just saying.
Look it's all here.
That's awesome.
This episode brought to you by.
But yeah, I noticed that there's a difference with when I did the poll of what the guys seem to categorize as self-care versus the women, and not that the women didn't have things that were physical, but I think it was more things they more of an enjoyment thing versus, hey, this is my release, or this is how I recharge my batteries.
Well, I think that that goes to a little bit. There's a comedian who does this bit, and I'll have to look it up. He does a bit talking about men's nothing box, and that men have the nothing box, and it drives women crazy. And he says women will ask their man, "What are you thinking about?" Nothing is the response. And that women, generally speaking, again, the caveat here is
we're always thinking of something.
Is that this is a very broad strokes, 10,000 foot type view, but the idea is that women generally are always thinking about something.
Sure.
Usually it's people. Usually it tends to be more rooted in emotion.
Yes.
Guys have the ability, and it is absolutely true, to zone out and think about nothing, and it's glorious. And to have something like, I can sit on the couch, I can mess with the video game for an hour and a half or whatever, and I'm not thinking about anything. And mind you, I may have just had at my work, I may have had internal affairs stuff, officer involved shooting, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff may have gone on at work. I can completely zone out, focus on that thing, not think about anything.
Yeah.
I don't have any outside thoughts. And that is a nice retreat. And I think that there's a tie to doing something physical, kind of like what you've got in your poll, with that, where the process becomes background noise or becomes the thing you're focused on.
Okay.
and that enables you to go to the nothing box.
I don't think I have that. I think that's a guy thing. I don't have that.
It could be.
Yes.
It could very well be. But that is, sometimes comedians have very keen observations about life.
It's true.
And that's one. I always enjoy the bit because I'm like, yeah, that actually is, that's 100% true. Amy will ask me, we're driving down the road, what do you think about?
Nothing.
I am literally not thinking about anything. I am
Yeah.
looking at the road, making sure we're not getting hit by some idiot on the road, and
True.
that's about it.
Singular focus, or focus on nothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the focus on nothing enables you to relax and recharge battery a little bit.
But I also think, well, I don't know, you have your poll results in front of you, but
Yeah.
I also think it's not just necessarily along the lines of men and women. I also think that an extrovert and an introvert
Oh, yeah.
would view self-care very differently.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so.
Yeah, because for an extrovert, they might, people like that might want to go out on a walk or a run and talk to somebody, just as an outlet or stress relief, something physical and something social. Whereas an introvert is like, I need to be in my cave. I just want to be alone and read a book or listen to music or just listen to white noise or something that doesn't involve
People.
or like
I
what
think-
we say, peopling.
Yeah, I think I say that a lot of times. It's too people-y out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I'm on the fence because I go
It depends on your
back
mood
and
too.
forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think all of us have moments of being extroverts and introverts, even though there might be one that is dominant in our personality. But it depends on what you're feeling and what you've been through also, that determines what self-care is going to be best for you in terms of recovery and recharging your batteries. Like if you have been caring for a sick relative, and that has been physically and mentally exhausting, you've had to make decisions that are very serious, that required a lot mentally and emotionally, and then physical work of caring for that person, that might require a level of self-care that is different from, I had like a stressful work week.
Right.
You know?
Okay. No, that makes sense. Depending on what it is that's bringing you to that point of needing that self-care.
And I think self-care and self-maintenance are two different things.
Yes, I would agree with you on that.
You know?
Okay, time out. This might be a guy thing here.
Oh.
What do y'all mean?
Self-maintenance, like, your beard scaping.
You
Is-
mean hygiene?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Guys can say it's like the hygiene, but like, oh, it's nice to have the nails, but it's a pain in the ass to go get them done,
Okay.
right? Because you're
And
there,
I think women have more of that than the guys do.
or
Yeah.
like, yeah, there might be processes that in the long run make you feel good, but they are not self-care, they are maintenance.
Like getting your roots done when the gray comes in.
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
not you.
Not
I was
that,
gonna
not
say,
that
I'm
you,
so far behind.
you don't even need that.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, no, I don't have gray roots. I just have gray.
It looks better on guys.
It's
than it
distinguished
does
on
women.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So let me ask you both, actually. Do you notice things in yourself? Let me give you an example. Do you notice for me, when I'm at that point, I start getting snippy with people. I know I'm at that point where, okay, I need to get away. It's getting to me. Whatever the case may be, whether it be stress, whether it be, I don't even know. But you notice within yourself that, okay, that's my sign. I need to
Do something for myself.
do something for me. Yeah, I need to unplug, or I need the alone time, or whatever the case may be.
Or is it just, I need it?
I know for me, I'm very much like you. I am an introvert by nature. I'm very extroverted in my day to day. My work forces me to be out in the public eye, oftentimes talking in front of groups of people, working in teams. But my nature, in spite of my mom's best efforts, is to be an introvert and to have that alone time. And I recharge my batteries through alone time.
Yeah.
And my level of patience for dealing with people, it drops measurably and noticeably when I haven't had some time to recharge and just have some alone time to go to my nothing box and just be, and whether that's, well, like this afternoon was reading on the back porch, playing video games, going for a drive, whatever tickles my fancy. If I don't get that, my people skills suffer.
It's funny you said that about
people around me
level.
get very cranky.
No, I didn't think that. I didn't think about that, but that's a good point about the patience level. I'm sure you and I are similar in that respect. But I think it's also getting an aging thing. Is that your patience level?
Yes.
At least for me, I've noticed that. What about you, Aim?
I bought you all the time I can.
Well, do I notice? Yeah. Yes. I become punchy, short. I'm not really thinking clearly, and those around me suffer. Those around me suffer, and I think that he's a good barometer of it. Like he can tell. He's like, you need to do some yoga, or you like go into your little meditation, or you need a little.
He tells you without telling you.
Yeah. It's like, why don't you just take some
Eat
time?
Yes,
it's like that commercial. It's like that commercial. Yes.
They tell me that at work sometimes. They're like, Joanne, you need a Snickers. I'm like, all right, it's time for me to go telework at home.
I can feel it. I can feel it emotionally inside when my fuse or my candle is burning at both ends or very like down to the nub and I need something. So yeah. But you also need those people around you that are your people that will tell you.
Oh yeah, support your, like you said, the circle, your bubble, whatever the case may be. I think that's important in anything.
Yeah.
That's just a moral necessity.
For sure.
So, do you notice your mental health when you're having, or the times when you think you need a break? Does it affect you physically in any way? Like for me, I get stressed, and I know it's time that I need to take some recharging. I go for all the bad food.
Oh yeah. I think
it tastes good, but it's not good for you.
So it gives you comfort.
For the moment.
Yeah, it meets one of your needs for the moment, but then in the long term, it's not gonna.
Yeah.
You're not gonna achieve what you want to achieve, or recharge what you need to recharge, or. Yeah. Yeah. I let little things slip, and just, it's like not. I don't know. I'm a person who puts myself last a lot.
No. I am shocked by this.
Are you? But because I want to care. That's my love language, is I want to show people that I care and that I can, and I want to help as many people as I can and that I care about. So that is, I can tell when I've done that a lot. But I don't know. It affects, I think, the way you wake up in the morning. I think it affects the way that you sleep, the quality of your sleep.
Oh, I would agree with that. I didn't even think about sleep.
Yeah. We have just recently started to track our sleep with an application called Rise.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just called Rise, yeah? Just called Rise?
Rise, not a sponsor of our show.
No,
just
no.
one that I saw on, actually it was on Apple's.
Their keynote event.
And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And the whole concept behind Rise is that what you really need to be tracking is your sleep debt over time. And we already track our sleep with a different app, but it doesn't track your sleep debt. And you don't realize that sleep debt is a thing until you start doing some of the reading in the app, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this kind of makes some sense. And trying to make yourself get to bed at a decent hour consistently, have good sleep habits, properly cooled room, no TV on,
or like the white noise that you need if you need.
You know, but no distractions.
Right.
Don't work out too late. Don't eat too late.
Alcohol late.
It's a skill, and they actually say that as one of their little pop-up messages. Like, good sleep is a skill, and
it's also self-care.
It is.
It is.
And that's something that we've been actively trying to improve. And over the last, I want to say we've been doing it for about 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We've actually have gotten better at more consistent sleep. Maybe not more sleep with her going over to her parents.
But you can tell though. You can tell when I had a day off and I didn't have obligations that day per se, work related or taking care of others at all. And I was able to recover some of that sleep debt, then I could really tell a difference in my, like you said, my level of patience, the attention that you can, the investment in a serious and important conversation or anything, just focus. I can tell a difference. Or in my willingness to like, yes, I'm going to go work out, or I have extra energy to go and clean when I don't want to clean.
Can I have some of that extra energy?
Right. Well, I made up the sleep debt, but currently I'm behind now.
I need to look that
up.
I'm
very behind the times, but I think it has made us more aware, and on the days that we've improved and really paid attention to that kind of barometer, we can feel it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's important though for both men and women, is actually being aware of the signs, because you can go over if you're not aware and just keep going and going and going, and then it's almost like a volcano erupting, and then hell breaks loose.
Oh, I would agree.
Yes.
Especially coming from in my line of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Full-time police officer. I've worked shift work most of my career. The shift work plus your other obligations, plus the rest of the world's not on shift work, so they work banker's hours. Your ability to get behind with and just have that build of fatigue over time.
Yeah.
And that becomes your new normal, your baseline. And realize what you're doing to yourself long term. So, but you mentioned it when we started talking about the changing of the mindset, like for whether it's for men or for women, or the idea that self-care is a buzzword. Well, it is, but like how do you tell your friends, I'm not going to meet up with you guys later on tonight. I'm really working on my sleep.
I'm really working on myself.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
How do I sound like so?
I'm trying to erase some sleep debt.
So
we're not really. You're not really there socially just yet. I don't think most people are.
No. But
gotta meditate.
Your close circle, though, they get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your close circle's probably saying, what app is that again?
I know, right?
Your close circle is like, really? You need to go to that
I just
yoga
wrote
class.
down the word sleep debt so I can look at it later. Look it up. Although I'm pretty good on the sleep aspect right now.
Good.
So.
That's good.
That makes one of us.
Yeah.
Makes one of us.
We're gonna make up for it. Yeah.
If I get anything less than 6, I get cranky. And I just take it out. I'm usually between like a 6 and a 7.5.
I'd love to be a 7.5.
Me too.
But I'm also one of those people that my head hits the pillow and I'm out.
Well, I didn't used to be, but also the other self-care habits that we've been trying to put into place now that my father is home from his treatment up at Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, we this past year has been a challenge in terms of, I think, self-care for either one of us, because
you could have stopped at challenge. It's been a challenge, period.
Yeah.
Normally, this time of year, we've gone at least on 2 out-of-state trips.
Sure.
We haven't been able to do that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
For the podcast, we have had to really reevaluate our training and our travel. So it's been a challenge there. It's been a challenge finding the races that we want to do locally and fit it in, because we're assisting with other, other things in the family. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And then on top of that, now you got to take care of yourself.
Right. So he was
small feat.
Well, so my dad was diagnosed last April and started to go through chemotherapy, and chemotherapy didn't work as well as they had hoped. And then, so he had to be away from home for 30 days and had to have a family member with him at all times due to the type of treatment.
Right.
So it was, thank God, it was 2 hours away and not 5 states away.
Right.
Or something like that, but so that we could trade off and manage it a lot better than others who are in the same situation and need that care. So we're thankful for that. But I think that you're just, when you're in it, what was it, you or was it JoJo? Was it you or was it you? You're in survival mode. That was you earlier. Talking about you're in survival mode and you just, okay, so what can I prep tonight that will make the morning easier so we can get to the treatment? Or what, like, oh yeah, I can get up a little bit earlier so there's less sleep, or that. It's then that kind of year where your self health is on the back burner.
I think we tend to do that as a whole anyway, because if you're more of a caregiver, which I am, you are, you tend to, you take a back seat.
You do, but I think this now that he is home and now that he has done so well in the recovery and the treatment has had such a positive impact on the cancer in his body, eradicating that, and he's just recovering from the residual side effects. But so we're very lucky in that regard. I think we've started to put into place other things that are bringing us back to reminding ourselves how important it is to take care of you first. And I've been listening to a lot of Wayne Dyer, and he talks about, well, if you don't have love for yourself, and I think it's true of self-care also, if you don't have love for yourself and you don't nurture yourself, care for yourself, then you can't give to others. What do you have to give if you're depleted?
That's one of the things that I actually have in my show episode notes is I guess the equivalent I used, the analogy was a battery. Doesn't matter whether you're a cell phone battery, AA, AAA, big hunkin' D battery, or even those little round watch batteries. There's a point where you need to, things aren't functioning at 100%. And if you continue to give and you give and you give, what's left for you?
Right.
So there comes a time where you need that recharge. And when we all do, it's just what works for you to recharge that battery.
Right. Right.
Quiet over there, Dana.
No,
No.
I'm just agreeing.
Well, I've just been yapping my trap,
No.
so.
No, you hit the nail on the head. Aimee had alluded to some of the things that we've done.
Oh, I didn't even talk about that.
You know,
Right.
in the last, I want to say 2 months, we've started incorporating, in addition to running, of course, because we have to do our training for the podcast. We've started incorporating cold plunges, and we've started incorporating sauna into our daily routine. So
I'm on board for the sauna. I want to know about the cold plunge.
Great. Oh.
well, I'll tell you, the cold plunge is exactly as awful as it sounds.
It's awful getting into it. You dread it the entire time before you do it.
You dread it while you're in it.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's fun.
No, the whole time it's not fun.
It's like running. There's nothing fun about this till it's over. But you know, I started looking at some other podcasts and YouTubers and started listening to some of the scientists, not just the talking heads that are doing it to get a sponsorship, and listening to some of the scientists who are talking about it. And they were saying that basically with as little as 11 minutes a week of purposeful cold exposure, you can actually increase your dopamine levels. It can make a palpable difference in your mental health and well-being. In addition to having some of the other effects on your body, like the reduction of inflammation and pain relief, which, again, you mentioned getting older. We all are if you're lucky enough to get to that point, things are going to ache a little bit. So I said, let's give it a shot, and put together a DIY cold plunge tub out on the back patio. And we've been doing that for about 2 months. And we're now up to, I think, closer to 11 to 20 minutes a day, not a week. And you're talking getting it with ice, you're getting the temperatures down into the mid to upper 40s.
Yeah. Over time, not the entire time.
Yeah, as you're adding ice, while you're sitting in.
Yeah.
So doing that, and then the flip side of that coin is the sauna, and we actually got a personal sauna. So it's the most ridiculous contraption you've ever seen. It's a thermal blanket with a PVC pipe frame, and there's basically this little crock pot with a hose attached to it that pumps steam into this thing. And you zip yourself into it up to your neck, and you can stick your
pictures,
arm.
the memes. Can you imagine?
There's little zipper holes for your arms. Oh, it's something.
Yeah.
But again, doing a little bit of research on it and looking at benefits, reduction in all-cause mortality, reduction in total lifetime risk of heart disease, reduction in blood pressure. These are all things that I'm seeing these doctors talking about, and I'm like, worth a shot. And then both of those, whether it's the hot or the cold, both of them have an overall reduction in cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and increase in quality and quantity of sleep. So for us, it's been something that I think has been very helpful. At least I feel like it has been. I'm feeling better since starting this. So.
And I will tell you 2 other things that I've added to my routine that are musts. I would say musts for me to be in a better place, to be able to give to others and feel good on a daily basis and work. I'm better in my job. I'm better in our podcast. I'm better in training. I'm just better at caring for others. I'm a better friend, better wife, better meditation, morning meditation, overcoming myself through meditation and creating a vision for or a mental rehearsal for where I want to be and what I want to do that day long term as well. But at least for that day, like how do I want to behave? What kind of person do I want to be? Is it what are the kind of behaviors that I don't want to practice anymore, that make me feel my battery is depleted, that kind of thing. And yoga in terms of just some of the challenging aspects of it, and some of the instructors that really tie the physical aspect of it to the mental. Like if you could just try this and overcome yourself, and you build the confidence when, like, I suck at balance right now, I'm not gonna lie, but it's a great practice in order to complement the running that we do, because it works and maintains the muscles, but it is also in conjunction with the meditation and the steaming and the cold plunge. I think it definitely has upped our self-care game after a very stressful year, and also it's had a more positive impact just on the last couple months alone, of life in general.
So I was smiling because those are my two areas that I have, I swear, mental blocks, with the yoga and the meditation.
It's hard.
I'm not going to say I can't do it. I've tried, and my brain does not stop.
It doesn't.
So,
and it's not supposed to.
Well, the meditating, you're supposed to be calm. Not so much.
Not necessarily. I think it's I think there is a guy I follow on YouTube called Dr. Joe Dispenza is his name. And he is, meditation is a time for you to have this mental rehearsal and overcome yourself. And the more you do it, people think they're doing it wrong when they start to do it. But the more you do it, the more you overcome yourself. You say, like, you're always, at least I am. I'm always thinking about, okay, what do I need to do? I need to get up. I need to have coffee. I need to take these vitamins. I need to do this. I need to, like, restart my computer and make sure it's software updates before I get online and go to work. And all the tasks. Yeah. If you can overcome that and say, I am going to start this day right, I'm going to be better for this. If I can, before I start anything, make myself sit there and imagine and mentally rehearse the kind of person that I want to be. And every time I have a negative thought, bringing it back to the present moment and refocusing. It's meditation. It is meditation. And it may not be the traditional picture of this Buddhist person and sitting in, like, these poses that I can never get up from that. My knees will not do that. Some of those, your feet are pointing up, and no, it's not that. It's not that. It's what you make it. But I am really, really in listening to this guy over the last few months, just coming to the realization that it's not, oh, I'm going to sit there, I'm going to clear my mind, I'm going to have a nothing box or whatever. It's not. It's
how you're talking in that what I call the traditional yoga voice.
Yeah.
That does not work for me.
No.
Because I've been I've attended a yoga class. Okay, now.
You got to find the right.
Go into downward. No, just say we're going into downward dog.
You got to find the right people.
That voice.
Oh, I'm going to tell you that there is an instructor that is amazing in Eckhart Yoga, and there are some free ones on YouTube, and then of course you can pay for all their videos on their website subscription, whatever. But if you can find a Nat Geiger in that Eckhart Yoga universe, she is as real as it gets. She's as real as it gets. She's like, okay, like, maybe you can't do it this way. Maybe you're going to do it this way. She's great at adapting and just going, okay, not everybody is made the alignment of my bones are not like the alignment of your
They
bones.
say
and
not
like
everybody's Gumby.
Yes, exactly. You do what you do. You do what you can do, and then sometimes your foot is in the middle of the mat. Sometimes it's off the mat. Sometimes it's to the right of the mat. Whatever. She is fantastic and real, and that is what I am attracted to. That helps with the self-care. Yeah.
And that's it. You have to find what connects with you. I think.
Exactly.
Now, Dana, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sorry, I was on a soapbox there for a minute.
Because see, I think women tend to talk amongst other women about it. So I'm curious, because for the most part, guys tend to be more internal. They internalize things versus we just put it out there for other women. But I don't think men tend to do that. Why? Is it just one of those like, hey, society, men, you're not supposed to talk about your feelings, or you're not supposed to talk about.
I don't know that.
Or do you talk about it, and maybe it's just the secret thing that we don't know about?
I don't know that that's really as much of a thing as we like to say that it is. There's I think over the last 30 years, you've certainly had a much bigger acceptance of being more open with emotions. I do think that there's probably, at the root of it, there's probably some net biological differences where men typically just don't feel the need to discuss those things as much. If you subscribe to the idea that, all things being equal, there are inherent differences between men and women, I think that you probably are going to find that men tend to, a problem that they see, they want to fix.
Yes.
Whether that is repair it, break it, kill it, whatever it is that they've got to do to take care of the problem that's in front of them and then move on to the next problem. When that problem is you don't usually get to do that, so you come up with other things, and a lot of times it's activities, go into that nothing box. Sometimes I think, at least in my experience with men, if you got a good friend, it may come up in conversation, but it's not going to be a big production. That conversation is generally shorter and more subdued or more understated than it might be if it were a couple of ladies talking. It's just a difference, I think, in the way we process those types of things than anything else. I think now, and with like I said, the last 30 years, with a much better job as a society of destigmatizing mental health issues. Not that it's perfect by any stretch. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of room to grow there, but I think generally that it's more accepted. I think it's more. It just ultimately gets down to, no matter how accepted it is, no matter what we put in place for people, no matter what you might encourage, I don't think you're going to get men talking about their feelings as much as you are women.
We just like to talk. But I think that's, with women, I think it's it's our own version of therapy. It's without officially a therapist, but sometimes we just need to get it out loud and hear it, and get either just say it out loud or get somebody else's opinion to tell us that we're not alone, or we're not losing it. Or we are losing it, for that matter. It doesn't.
I think that is therapy in a nutshell, though, right there. I think that's one of the biggest things you do with a therapist is just say it out loud and talk through it. And that therapist doesn't have to have an opinion per se, but they help you talk through your thought process.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. Oh, you're welcome. You're my first guest.
Well, we love the fact that you were willing to have us on.
Yay!
This is super cool. Very different than what we would normally talk about, but that's awesome.
Yeah. So, to sum up, that was a great interview. I had fun with them. You need to realize a couple things. And I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. Number one, you need to realize that self-care is a necessity in order to keep yourself and your life balanced. Number two, you need to realize or start realizing the signs of when you have gone too long without self-care and make the time to focus on the things that work for you, things that help you relax, or just plain recharge your battery life. And number three is to remember that you need to be at your full potential in order to continue helping others with their needs. If you are not at your full potential or at 100%, then you're not going to be able to fully help others, and you will continue to suffer or have issues because you are not practicing self-care. So if you're still tuning in, it's been a long one, this episode. I, one, want to say thank you for tuning in. Two, I'd like to thank Aimee and Dana with the Run, Eat, Drink podcast for taking the time to have the interview with me. And I hope you enjoyed the interview and the topic. And we will see you next time on this podcast called Life.